Okay, so welcome back. In this video now we're going to be doing a creation of our hair textures. We're going to be making some hair textures. Again, this is not a mandatory part because again this requires other softwares to create them, as Substance Painter doesn't have any hair texture creating software built into it or any sort of dynamic spline based simulation for hair like Maya has for XGen, or in our case with this example it's going to be FiberMesh from ZBrush. Now if you don't have the software, that's alright, but if you do, you're welcome to follow along. We're doing this demonstration mainly to help you with the context of order and how we're creating our hair, and while it's not 100% necessary, we're showing you how we take the hair and bring it into Substance Painter to plug in. If you don't have the softwares, again, we give you the software, or I'm sorry, we give you the textures. So let's go ahead and begin. First thing I'll go ahead and do is I'll bring up my ZBrush, which I have already. I'm just going to go ahead and click on Lightbox and take that off. The one thing I'd like to start before anything is if I'm going to make some textures, I'm going to make them square. And that means I need to go up to my document up here, and I'm just going to kind of click on that. And I'm going to click off of Pro so I can change the dimensions. So it's 2048 by 2048, and I'll hit resize, like so. Now it doesn't look like it's resized completely, and that has a lot to do with it being zoomed in. So let's go ahead and come up here to where it says zoom and hold left click and just drag. And you can kind of see a shape like that. So now I'm just going to go ahead and click on a little tool here and just go into clicking a plane. Left click, drag that into my canvas, hit the T key, and I'm going to hit Make Polymesh 3D. I'll also change the matte out over here to something easier to see. And hit Command N to clear all that. Now, if we go through here, and if you hit F a couple of times you can kind of lose your piece, so just make sure that that's centered properly. So now that we did that, let's go through FiberMesh. Let's go ahead and just turn on preview, and that's just going to kind of give us a preview of our FiberMesh. It keeps disappearing on us, and that's just because it's being projected in dynamically, or not dynamically, but it's being instance projection. It's not an actual set of splines yet. Let's change the color so we can see it a little bit better. And now I'm just going to mess around with some of the settings. I don't need to necessarily have that many fibers. Maybe something around the vicinity of that. I'll lengthen. I might go with something a little bit longer. And coverage, I do like something like 13. And I'll change my segments up to 12, and that's just how many insert edge loops around each fiber. Alright, so kind of have something like that. Let's go ahead and zoom out, and I'm just holding left alt, left click, and then releasing left alt while still holding left click to have zoom. So that's kind of establishing our fibers, but what I'll do now is I'm just going to kind of turn preview temporarily off, hold down spacebar, turn my draw size up a little, and hold down Control, and left click, drag a mask. And then I'm going to kind of bring the mask in a little bit like that. So we got something going on. So the only thing left for me to do here is work with some of my length here. We could probably go with a little bit of a long length, like maybe something like that. And I'm going to do a quick little BPR render up here. And yeah, I guess I can work with that. So now that I have a set of hair, I can just go ahead and hit accept, and I'll say yes, and that's just going to convert a subtool for me up here. I don't need that plane, so I'm going to go ahead and take that off. So now I got myself a set of fibers to work with. And I'm going to be using BPR up here to kind of give myself a preview of those fibers. So let's start off by creating some of our fibers. So now we're going to create 4 different patterns here. And those patterns are going to be like basically 4 different strands. Like for example, this is a thin strand here that we're going to do. And we'll probably just do a couple more. This is like a strafe strand. I'll probably do like a default wide strand and maybe like some kind of a swirl. And then we'll show you how we export the maps out for those. So with that said, let's just go ahead and for my first one, I'll make the thin strand just so you can have a little bit of an idea. Now, if it's going to be 4 different types, let's go up to our subtool and hit duplicate 3 more times. And turn the visibility of them all off except the first one. Let's go through this now. It's just going to hold Control Shift and then left click drag. Still holding left click down, I release Control Shift and hold left Alt, turn it red so we can kind of have a little bit of a thin look. And we're going to use our modifiers in ZBrush to kind of manipulate all this. So let's go to our, pardon me, let's go to Geometry, Modify Topology, and hit Delete Hidden. Do a quick little BPR, see if we're all still good. Looks like we're all still good. So now I'd like to maybe work around this, have some fun with it. Let's try working with some of the groom brushes. So we're going to use groom brushes in ZBrush, and we're going to show you how to work those, and we're going to show you how we combine them with the modifiers in ZBrush that deform things. So I'll hit B, and if I hit G, you can see pretty much all our groom brushes. We'll start off with something basic like groom lengthen. A lot of people tell you don't use the groom brushes, but honestly I kind of like them still. And maybe something like that. Yeah, something like that. Alright, so something a little bit kind of like that. And then after that, we can just have a little bit of fun with some of the other groom brushes. So let's try Groom Spike. So where we can find that, we have BGS, I think it is. And just have some fun. Let's just take a couple of practice swings. You can kind of see like how that kind of, you know, has a little bit of fun here. A little too wide. And I'll go ahead. And I'm just kind of doing a strip down and then just kind of holding shift to smooth it. Let's see. Ooh, got a little bit of a tear there. Got to be careful when you're smoothing these out, and you got to also make sure to do a BPR if you're not getting any flat pieces that are kind of blowing up. Alright, maybe something like that, and then we'll just go ahead and bring up the W key. I'm just going to click on that center button right there, that upside down teardrop. Now I'm going to click on that transform type or that cog icon, and I'll work with starting off with taper. And I'm going to just taper the top here, and I'm going to go ahead and taper the bottom. Doesn't really do too much tapering, so you might have to do it a couple of times on the bottom. Or if you really are in a hurry, you can use the pinch brush to help you out, which I'm almost tempted to use, but I'm almost done tapering as well. And we hit accept. Now, after we've done a couple of tapers, let's just go ahead and do a twist. And we could just kind of see how it kind of falls into place here. Alright, let's just go ahead and hit accept. If we kind of look at it and do a quick little BPR render, we can see a little bit more of a result. We're getting a little bit better of a look here. So that's okay for me. We want to work with some of the, a little bit easier. Yeah, that works for me. So that's going to be an example of just how you can just kind of get something done with hair really quick. I might be tempted to kind of work something out here, maybe just do little test BPRs just to see how that looks on there, you know, just to make it a little bit more interesting, like a couple more strands. But that's going to be our first one. So let's go ahead and turn that on. We're going to call that one our thin strand when we export it out. Let's go ahead and go to our wide strand, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit center on there by hitting W, then hitting this X teardrop. This is an easy one. This is just simple.